Last 8 months, and what has surprised you the most about being Prime Minister?
What have I learned? Well, I'll tell you what has surprised me the most, even though having been around politics for a number of decades, in other words, you know, when I was a civil servant, when I worked at the Bank of Canada, the Bank of England, etc., I dealt with prime ministers in various ways. So I had a sense that the job is 24/7, 365 days a year. It's one thing to have that sense, it's another thing to live it. So in that respect, it is a surprise. There's just a host of issues that I'm sure we'll talk about, a subset of them today, that are on my mind that I need to make sure that the government is dealing with, anticipating moving forward. So that's probably the biggest surprise. And then of course the other aspect of being a politician is how you express those issues, how you speak with people and engage. And look, I'm not perfect at it. I think you figured that out, and I'm sure I'll demonstrate that in the coming minutes.
But you called yourself a politician, though. You didn't used to do that.
I am now a politician. I have to admit, I am Prime Minister, so yeah. I am a politician, but I'm still a pragmatist.
It would be easier for you, though, if you had a majority. And you're inching towards that.
Well,
you are. You're one away now. Because you have managed to lure a couple of Conservative MPs to the Liberal caucus.
Lure.
Are you courting up?
Lure. Key word. I like how she used that word.
You are. You're one away now. Because you have managed to lure a couple of Conservative MPs to the Liberal caucus.
Look at his face.
Are you courting other Conservative MPs to push you over the edge?
Well, it's interesting. I wouldn't have chosen that verb, lure.
Courting? Luring?
Lure or courting.
Okay. I knew that pissed him off. She got a little too real.
What I would choose is they are attracted by what we are doing. And that's a key element. You're looking in Parliament to have the confidence of the House and the, you know,
like no type of hate. We know damn well that they didn't just switch sides like that. Like, let's be so for real. It doesn't make sense. The week before, this guy Ma, he was out here attacking Liberals. And then a few days after, I think a week after or something, this guy switched. You're not about to tell me that they're just attracted to what you're doing. You're not going to tell me there wasn't a bribe. You're not going to tell me that he didn't benefit somehow. Like, let's be for real.
In the vernacular, in the term. So you need support of obviously your own caucus, but others to either support or not stand against what you're doing if you're in a minority.
So
sometimes
did they come to you and say?
Yes, absolutely.
And did you meet with them, with Chris Nonchalant and Michael
I met with them just at the end of what was a process, but in those cases, they came to us. They were interested in. They were attracted by what the government is doing. This is a positive vote for the government, supporting the government at a crucial time for our country. And I'd underscore that there's a sense of responsibility that comes obviously with these roles. And we are in a better position as a country, my judgment, 9 months in to this government. Economy's better, we've got a plan, we're implementing that plan, we're making progress internationally, we're becoming more independent as a country.
Making progress internationally, making progress as a country. What? Nigga has to be playing with me.
But we are still in a crisis because our neighbor, our biggest trading partner.
It's the only thing he said that's true so far. We're in a crisis.
Has fundamentally changed his policies. So there is a sense of responsibility. The government's moving. It's attractive to members of the House, and they're coming to us.
President Trump faces midterm elections next fall. The U.S. Supreme Court is set to rule on whether his tariff scheme is legal or not. Is one strategy simply to wait him out, to let events potentially take over?
Well, certainly a strategy is not to rush into a bad deal, and that's what we've been very disciplined about. And every week that goes by,
I can actually
the
agree
more that we're developing our economic strategy at home, the more we're developing those relationships abroad, the stronger we get. So you gave the example, you prompted me on the defense spending, that $80 billion. That's an enormous amount of money. That's necessary to protect our Arctic. It's necessary to make sure the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces have the right equipment. But a lot of that, instead of 70 cents on every dollar going south of the border to the United States defense contractors, a lot of that is now going to be spent here, and it's going to help develop other industries. So all of that puts us in a better position. So yes, is it a better position to be disciplined, have the tough negotiations, which we're having, have those discussions, and then if a good deal is there, yes, we will sign it. But if it's not there, we're not going to sign a bad deal.
Just to be clear, there aren't negotiations underway now formally.
There
right?
are not formal ones yet.
Okay.
But there's negotiations about negotiations. How's that? That's the way it works.
Oh, you're a politician.
No, but that's the way it works.
Negotiations about negotiations. Insane. But there's progress, right? Okay, listen, one thing I can say though is that one thing that Poilievre is going to always have over Mark Carney is the fact that he didn't make a deal, but it's also like not realistic. I think Pierre Poilievre would have been a better prime minister, and I actually voted for him, and I wanted him to win. But I don't think if Poilievre was inside right now, we'd have a deal. I think maybe he'd open the market up for Canada, and we'd be better, and we'd be making progress internationally, obviously, except from the US. But I don't necessarily think that he'd have a better deal with Trump. I think Trump is going to be Trump no matter who's dealing with him, you know what I mean? So that's one thing Poilievre is always going to have on Mark Carney, because he is prime minister at the end of the day. So it's like he can always hit him with like, oh, you don't have a deal yet, you don't have a deal yet, you don't have a deal yet. But it's like, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real too. Even if I support Pierre, I'm not going to act like we're not dealing with Donald Trump right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a little crazy. This is the first time in history that US had such a president. Look what he's doing to the whole world, tariffing everyone like it's a game. Everything I can say about Mark Carney, at the very least, I can say that he's not rushing into a bad deal. I'd rather him have no deal than a bad deal. You feel me? I'd rather have negotiations about negotiations than a bad deal.
The scoping of what's going to be in CUSMA, how it's going to be arranged, and that's going to come.
It feels like the ground is shifting globally. I mean, you have described it as a hinge moment, a rupture of multilateral rules-based order. Where does Canada fit into that as a middle power? What kind of influence can we really wield?
Yeah, it's very... First, I think
moment,
it's very important that we recognize exactly what you just said, how much things have changed, and it's a very fluid situation internationally. That's one of the reasons why we're being so aggressive in talking to different partners, developing different defense, security, and economic partnerships. What I would say to Canadians, the good news is virtually everybody wants to do more with Canada. So that's true in Asia, whether it's the Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, the ASEAN countries, which are almost a quarter of the world's GDP. It's Indonesia, it's the European Union, it's the UK, it's the countries of the Gulf. United Arab Emirates is going to invest $70 billion, $70 billion in Canada. They've made a commitment to that. They made the commitment. We didn't even ask, that comes. So people want to do more with Canada because we have what the world wants. We have the values to which most of the world aspires. We're a reliable.
So he's going to take that as an achievement, but then he's going to say that we didn't even ask them for it. They just wanted it. But he's going to take it as an achievement, though, like he negotiated that.
Partner. And we're an increasingly confident nation that has ambition. So people want to deal with us. Now, that is good for our economy. It's good for jobs. It's good for the future. It's good for our independence from the United States. But it also brings an opportunity to help shape a world that is more dangerous, more divided. And we see an example. I'll give you one example of that. We are a member of something called the Coalition of the Willing to support Ukraine. So the United States is not a member of the Coalition of the Willing supporting Ukraine. We are major European countries. Australia is in, United Kingdom as well. So we're helping to create the possibility of a lasting peace there through security guarantees and other support. And that type of...
Does he not, do people not understand that giving money to Ukraine is fueling the war? Like, do people not understand that? Bro, Russia was already starting to threaten people helping Ukraine, bro. And you want to involve us in that, bro? Like, be so for real. How's that doing anything for the security or lasting peace? That's fueling the war. All these countries giving Ukraine all these billions of dollars actually benefit from the war continuing.
Coalitions, different countries coming together on different issues. I think we're going to see more of that. Canada, with the right values and with influence because of we have what the world wants, I think we can play an important role there.
He said, we have what the world wants. But he doesn't want to give it to them. He doesn't want no pipeline. He doesn't want to get no resources. What do we have other than our resources that's valuable? The best thing we have at our disposal right now to utilize at a time like this where the US is being a little, you know what I'm saying, is our natural resources, which he clearly doesn't want to give out.
Look, I do want to get to the question of the memorandum of understanding with Alberta for the pipeline. Do you look like a hypocrite for backing an expansion of the oil sands after spending so much of your career warning about the dangers of climate change?
Not at all, because what I've said consistently is that the world is going to use hydrocarbons for coming decades under any scenario, net zero, 1.5 degree scenario, IEA's scenario. It's in the variance of 25, 30 million barrels per day of oil, down from 100, but still being used. First point. Second point is what kind of oil or hydrocarbons are going to be used? Low cost, low risk, low carbon. Third point, low carbon, crucial. If we are going to continue to supply hydrocarbons, it needs to be low carbon. That is why at the center of the Memorandum of Understanding is Pathways, which takes 16 megatons of carbon out, the equivalent of 90% of the cars and trucks in Alberta off the road, and that these are low carbon barrels. In other words, the production and the transportation of that oil.
It's clean oil, I think, is the term that Alberta uses.
Decarbonized oil.
Yeah.
Now, so that's, and then what else we've done, because the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, it is the pipeline. It's a potential pipeline. It's Pathways. It is a 6.5 times increase in the effective carbon price. It is 75% reduction in methane. It is interties with the clean grid of British Columbia. It's nuclear investment in nuclear power as well. So it's a comprehensive approach to the medium-term energy, which is a lower carbon energy.
But climate change is not the urgent political issue that it once was. It's not on the top of everyone's agenda now.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, bro, listen, I totally understand as the leader of the Liberals, climate change is an important topic, right? And what the hell? Is it my birthday? Listen, I understand that climate change is important for a Liberal leader, but sometimes you have to move with the times, though. You gotta adapt. There's just sometimes there's things you gotta do. And I think at such a time as this, where our biggest ally is moving wonky, you have to learn how to be like, all right, you know what? Like, this is something that needs to be done. Like I understand that climate change and all that stuff is important, but it's like right now we're in a crisis, and right now this is important. A pipeline is important for our independence, you know? He just needs to learn to adapt. Like right now Like, even for him to put the MOU for a pipeline shows that even he has a level of understanding that, okay, right now, like, we actually might need a pipeline. Like, we actually need this right now. You know what I mean? So I think he should just go all the way with it. Even all the liberals who support all that net zero climate change shit, I don't even think they would be upset at this point. I don't even think the treaty people would be angry, bro. Like, you gotta adapt to the times, my brother.
In this moment that we are in, countries are pulling back from their net zero commitments. Many countries haven't made their emissions targets, including Canada.
Valid questions.
So where are we at on that?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, globally, we're off track. Exactly what you said. The ability to keep temperatures below 1.5 degrees is slipped away. The ability to keep them below 2 degrees, which was the Paris objective, is what the focus is. That's the first point. The second, in terms of Canada, we are also, what the policies that I inherited are not sufficient to meet our targets. Okay, not sufficient to meet our targets, 2035 targets, and in part because regulation in and of itself isn't sufficient. You need the investment alongside it. And so part of the shift of the government is to really focus on those investments at scale. So that is clean grid, and you'll see early in the new year our electricity strategy for the country, our clean electricity strategy for the country, but is also the commercial reality. Climate has become less of an issue politically if you look at polling, but it is continuing, the climate change is continuing remorselessly, and what is happening is that the importance of being lower carbon, whether it's in energy, automobiles, aerospace, services, whatever industry, will only become more important. You just have to look at where China and others are going. We have an opportunity, we have an enormous opportunity in this country to leapfrog the United States. The United States has taken its eye off the ball on this. I mean, they've really downgraded it. We have an opportunity to leapfrog the United States. On top of that overall responsibility, we can create jobs, we can make life more affordable, we can build our economy, and we are going to take those opportunities as they come.
Millions of Canadians who are struggling to pay the rent, who have difficulty buying groceries, because we are here in this gorgeous hall of the Museum of History with the history of the Pacific Northwest people here. It's their history, but...
Is it just me? Like, hear me out, man. Hear me out. She's kind of, like, pretty. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's a pretty, like, old woman, you know? Like, I don't know how old she is, but for her age, she's actually, like, I find her pretty, you know? Like, nothing weird. Like, it's literally just an observation. Like, she's kind of pretty for an old woman.
People who live there now are looking to their future, and some of them are opposed to another pipeline. Do not
watch the earrings. Wait, who is this girl? Like, wait, why'd you pull up looking saucy? Well, she did have an appointment with the Prime Minister of Canada. Makes sense. Because where do you even get these type of shoes, bruh? I can't lie, she pulled up stylish. Nigga, she looks like the Prime Minister.
Sure. And some of them are opposed to another pipeline. Do not want that happening to their coast. Believe that...
Yo, what's your name? Donna Friesen? Yo, what's up with you?
Rewards go to Alberta, and they take all the risk. It's their history, but the people who live there now are looking to their future, and some of them are opposed to another pipeline. Do not want that happening to their coast. Believe that the rewards go to Alberta and they take all the risk. What's your message to them?
Well, we were talking beforehand, my family, my parents from BC, and extended family all up and down the coast interior on Vancouver Island as well. So have some familiarity. Let's put it that way. The first thing is that what the MOU does with Alberta is it creates some of what are the necessary conditions in order for, amongst other things, a pipeline to be proposed, but not the sufficient conditions.
Meaning it won't necessarily get built.
Right. Well, meaning the following, which is that
You see how he said it right? She literally said, which means it won't get built. And he said, right. I'm trying to tell you guys, bro. This is just a delay tactic to appease two sides and boost his ratings. But there's no real progress. He knows what he's doing.
a pipeline to be proposed, but not the sufficient conditions.
Meaning that it won't necessarily get built.
Right. Well, meaning the following, which is that for a pipeline to be built, the industrial carbon price has to be on this path to increase in Alberta. Secondly, there has to be the Pathways project. Thirdly, there has to be the methane. Fourthly, these various aspects that are all agreed. It's all part of a package, a grand bargain, as the Premier has said.
And there's a duty to consult.
There's fundamentally a duty to consult, and we have been absolutely clear about this from the start. You can't consult about something that doesn't exist, so you have to create the possibility for it even to exist before you begin the consultations. Now we've created the possibility. There's still no pipeline proposal. And that's the other thing that's in the MOU. This is not government building a pipeline. It's if there is a private sector proponent who will build.
So if it
Can
gets...
I make another, if I may,
Yeah, sure.
crucial point here? So it's not just about consultation. What this government has been absolutely clear is that it is full Indigenous participation in these major projects. That means obviously economic benefits if it is built, as it's built, and as it's operated, but also ownership. Ownership which we will help fund so that there is that ownership. We need the support, if there is a proposal, of First Nations and British Columbia. So it creates the possibility. I'm a firm believer and practitioner of cooperative federalism in all respects. So it's not just what we build.
I think you should just focus on a good deal for the First Nations, because it's not one of those things that you could just say no. And that's what I like about Pierre Poilievre. Like, he stood on business. When he was speaking, he's like, I'm going to build that pipeline. He's still going to discuss with them. He's still going to, there's going to be some sort of understanding and deal, but it has to happen. It doesn't mean you're disregarding the First Nation, but it's like I said before, at such a time as this, we have to do what's good for Canada, not just the First Nations. And shout out the First Nations, bro. I'm not even dissing. But this is about Canada as a whole. We all have the same value as human beings. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, we need to do what's good for everyone. First Nations are not the only people that live here, but whether that pipeline is built or not affects everyone that lives here.
How we build it, building it inclusively, building it sustainably, and building it in solidarity. And
if after all those conditions are met and there's a proponent and there's consultation, and after consultation the answer is no, is there a plan B?
Exactly. That's such a good question. Yo, I think I love this girl. No, I think I like her. I think I'm attracted to her. Like, she came out swaggy, and then she's not even like biased. She's asking good questions. She's kind of challenging him, but she's not going too crazy. Like, it's a nice conversation. This is a perfect interview. This is actually a good interview.
Could there be a Keystone XL?
Interview.
Could that idea be revived?
There are other options.
Is that one of them?
On paper, it's an option. Yes. On
paper,
that idea be revived?
It provides, if I may, there is a lesser strategic advantage in sending, if part of our objective as a country, which Canadians across this country tell me is, and I believe is right, is to become more independent, to diversify from the United States. Having another pipeline to the United States is less advantageous. Just to be clear, there are advantages.
It gets Alberta oil to Tidewater.
There are advantages, but it's much less advantageous than having a new market and having the diversification there. But let me make a general point. What we're interested in these nation-building projects, we have 110 billion plus of them already identified, everything from high-speed rail to major projects in the interior of British Columbia, major hydro projects, other aspects. What we're interested in is, what are people for? What are people for? We have more opportunities in this country than we can realistically do at one time. So we're working with Indigenous peoples, with provinces, with the private sector. What are we for? What can we build? Let's build now. Become more independent, create better jobs for Canadians, better futures for our children. That's the opportunity. It's the one we need to grab.
Okay, my final topic is about affordability. The single biggest issue when I said I'm coming to interview you, and I asked people, what matters to you most? And they said the cost of living.
Absolutely.
Hands down.
Yeah.
There are so many people, as you know, millions of Canadians who are struggling to pay the rent, who have difficulty buying groceries because the cost of everything has risen so much. What is your message to them? Do you just need to be patient? Is that what your message is?
Well, it's certainly not. First is absolutely understand the scale of this issue, and we have acted on it, and we will continue to act on it. And let me be more specific, which is that we had this huge surge in inflation after the pandemic, and then the overall level of inflation is now back to
roughly where you want it to be.
2%, roughly where the bank should be. But the level of prices, that's different. The level of prices is still high. And on top of that, the food, the expenses of people who are less well off in the country are particularly high.
Yeah.
So the price of beef is high because of drought in the U.S. and challenges. The price of coffee has gone up, dramatically. So the price of groceries has gone up considerably. So there is this affordability issue. So what are we doing? First off, we cut taxes for everyone who pays taxes. 22 million Canadians. It was the first thing we did as a government. And this is material particularly for those less well off. Second thing we're doing is we have preserved all of the programs in a tough budget where we had to take tough decisions, a budget where we're saving $60 billion, a budget where we're cutting 10% of the public service, 20% of consultants in the last budget. We preserved, rightly, because these are fundamental. Childcare, $10 a day childcare. National School Food Program, which helps 400,000 of our least well-off children. We've made that permanent. Pharmacare, dental care, healthcare, the healthcare transfers to the provinces, all the things that help on the margin. It's not yet enough. What we have to do as well is we have to look for other opportunities, increase competition, get prices down. And fundamentally, what we have to do is grow the economy. Yes, we have to grow the economy.
And that's the part that's going to take time. And I think that's the thing when people say to me, well, how long is it going to take? Ask them how long it's going to take.
Well, look, we are doing a series.
I really like the interviewer because she's asking like actual questions real Canadian people feel. This is a great interview. I think it's perfect for a year-end interview. Shout out to my crush.
We'll continue to look for others that help bridge over that period of time. But at the core is we have to grow this economy. And we have to grow this economy in a way that makes it more independent, more sustainable, that works with provinces and works with Indigenous people. We have to do all of those things. That's why we're in such a hurry. That's why we're doing the major projects. That's why we're launching Build Canada Homes, which will be cheaper homes as they're built for Canadians. That's why we're striking.
He still didn't answer the question of, is it just the be patient? He keeps prevaricating.
The reasons why this job, where we started, is relentless. It should be relentless. And look, we're making progress. We got to keep on this track. We're in a stronger position than we were 9 months ago at the start of the year, but we got to keep going, and we will keep going.
That's the big
Prime Minister, thank you for taking time with us, and happy
Thank you, girl.
holidays
Happy
to
holidays
you and your
to you.
family.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
That was good.